Today, let's walk through the steps of sewing our own joggers. Well, welcome. I do sewing and DIY related content, and today we're going back to this Mccalls 7816 pattern to make our own joggers. So I made the dog jacket in a previous video, but we are making the joggers, so they come in different sizes. Be sure when you get the pattern that it is a size that corresponds to you. Now for this, you're going to want to use a moderately stretchy knit, and we're starting off with the cuffs, where the first step is you're just folding these over, almost like hamburger style, and then just pinning them up so that we can take a seam directly down that side. So I'm going to repeat this for both of the cuffs for the legs, and then I'm going to set them aside. And next we're going to be starting on the actual pants themselves, so the legs. So you have a front and a back, and when you go through the process of cutting these out, you will see that there are notches and different markings, so be sure to transfer all of those. Now we are going to be doing the inseam of these pants first, so just matching up any of those notches, going down, pinning it up for both of the legs. And then once you have both of them done, we'll then be able to actually begin doing the first seams. Now for this, because this is a stretchy knit, be sure that you are thinking about how to do that seam, whether you're using a serger. So I'm going to use a serger for a lot of these seams, but also using my sewing machine. Or if you're just using a sewing machine, using a stretch stitch such as a zigzag stitch or a lightning stitch. That way you keep the stretch of the material. And then I know I didn't show it, but I did sew up the seam that we did for the cuffs. So now for the pant legs, I have the front and the back together, and you can see that the right sides are matching, and I've matched up the markings that I did. And now we have this U. So this is more of the like pants crotch area. So what we're going to be doing is just pinning this up and then taking a seam all the way around. Now for this, if you are using your sewing machine, I would highly recommend doing about 2 parallel stitches. That way you can make sure it's nice and reinforced. And then if you're using your serger, you could always do the serger stitch and then reinforce it with the sewing machine, just because this is a seam that will be used a lot, so you want to make sure that it's nice and secure. Once I went through and got all of that nice and sewn up though, it was then time to start working on the pockets. So these joggers do come with pockets on either side. You have to cut out 4 pieces for the pocket, so 2 for each leg. And when you cut out the legs for the fabric, you will see that there was markings that you needed to do, and you want to make sure that that's there. So specifically on this pocket, you can see that there's a marking, so you are matching that up with where it is on the pant legs itself, and then we're just matching these with right sides together and then pinning these in place. Now once I pinned the one, you're just going to go through and then pin it for the other side too, matching where that marking is, and then you can just take a seam to hold the first portion of the pocket together. So this is mostly just attaching the pocket to the leg of the pants. Now for this, I did use my sewing machine. I used a walking foot so that it's a lot easier to work with this knit material. So if you are using your sewing machine, be sure to have like a walking foot or a knit foot just to help you along. Now once I had that done for both sides, we can then take all of this back to the floor where I'm working and begin on putting together the entire pant leg itself, to the idea that now we need to sew up the other side of the pant leg. So we have this long seam that we need to do, and this is actually joining everything together so that it's really becoming our joggers. So to break this down a little bit more than just kind of this high level overview, what you're going to be doing is matching with right sides together your entire pant leg, and then you have this one long seam that you're going to do. So you want to match up this entire edge. So you can go through, and I'm pinning this right now. And then once you have that done, you're going to go to the pocket. And now we're going to match both pockets with right sides together and pin all the way around the pocket. You do not need to worry about the top portion. And then pin the very top portion of the pants as well to bring everything together. Now when you did these, there should have been 2 dots that were also you transferred over near the pocket. So we're actually sewing down a little bit past the pocket as well as a little bit up before it ends. And that's what I'm doing here on my sewing machine, is just taking that into account. Once you have all of that done though, and you repeat it for both sides of your pants, at this point your joggers are getting close to being complete, and now it's just time to add the cuff. So for the cuff, you're just going to be matching it with right sides together. So this is what it will end up looking like at the end, but we will walk through one of these together. So here is my second pant leg, and you can see it's very open, sort of loose right now. And I am just going to be taking my cuff and putting it in so right sides are together. So this side that had the seam on it, I'm just matching these up, and then we're just going to be pinning that into place. Then I'm just going to go through and sort of stretch the cuff so that it fits into this pant leg. Since these are both a little bit bigger, you will have to stretch the cuff slightly, but overall it's not too difficult of a task. Once you get a stretch, you're just going to sew it in place and your cuff's complete. Now it's time for us to do our waistband. So for the waistband, you are going to be folding your fabric down about an inch so that the wrong sides are together, as you can see here. So I'm just folding everything down about an inch, inch and a half to begin with. Then you are going to be taking that raw edge and folding it back under, so basically making a little rolled hem, if you will, but you're having this bigger casing. And that casing is where we're going to be adding our elastic. So you just want to go through, make sure everything is laying nice, and then you'll leave about a 2-inch gap. So I've denoted this with 2 pins on either side. I'm going to leave this open, and that's where we're going to be putting in our elastic. So I'm just going to go back to my sewing machine, and for this, I'm just going to be taking a seam all the way around, and then I'm just going to be putting my elastic into this casing, so guiding it through. I use the safety pin to kind of push it all the way through the pants. And then once you have it through, you're just going to be pinning it together at the ends so that we are able to then take a stitch across that elastic. Now when it comes time to securing this elastic, like when we're sewing it, I would highly recommend sewing over it multiple times. Like I think I did maybe like 5 or 6 times, just making sure that it's nice and secure, it's not going to break. Then you can close the little opening that you had, and at this point your joggers are complete. So this is what they look like from the inside out, since that's how we were working with them. But if I do turn these right side out, you'll see that they look so good. Everything came together really well. This was a really easy project. I would say that if you're somebody who hasn't worked with knit before and you really want to start to get into working with knit, this can be a great beginner project to do. Not too many difficult steps. A lot of this is just sewing and then adding an elastic waistband. The cuffs at the bottom also look really nice and professional, so I was happy with how those turned out. So last but not least, I had to try them on. They were incredibly comfortable, and I think that this is really just such a fun and easy project to do. I would highly recommend it if you're looking for a very quick little weekend project. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you want to see next. Thanks for watching.